Good morning. Morning, Sunnyvale. Hope you're doing well. We'll get started in just a second. Good morning. Welcome to August. The summer's just zipping by. Okay. Good morning, Sunnyvale. Welcome to August. Welcome to my weekly virtual office hours. This week's early artwork is another one from our utility box art project. And so this is the one from Matilda and Innovation. And so, I continue to visit the artists as they're doing our utility box art cover-up program. But if you see them out, please say hi. So this is, and actually very good for Moffett Park. This is at Matilda and Innovation Way, a blimp, and you can get a little picture of the hangar. And with the bay in the background and the mountains in the background, or the hills that surround the bay, and you actually get a little bit of fruit. So yeah, it was actually a good design. It's still not complete. I think that artist will be out again this weekend, but it's just been fantastic to fantastic to go through and see the different art around the city. But it's just fantastic to meet the artists and get get some background on other art that they've done. It's just been really good from that standpoint to see our fantastic artists and see that they're beautifying our city. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Sunnyvale Mayor Larry Klein. Thank you for joining me again this week. This is the 171st installment of my weekly office hours. Actually, after uploading months worth of videos to YouTube last week, I actually noticed that I had actually double numbered an episode a few months ago. So 2 weeks in a row had the same episode number. And so ended up updating that. So this is the 171st week of my virtual office hours. I hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy, enjoying the beautiful weather. It's burning up elsewhere in the US, but right here, it's actually been fairly temperate. A few warm days, but just fantastic from that standpoint. Great weather that we normally have here almost all year round. We've now reached 1,236 days since the March 16, 2020 county health order started the shelter in place in an attempt to slow the spread of COVID-19. Over 3 years ago, I converted my weekly coffee shop office hours into these weekly live stream addresses. And, I still follow up this live stream address with in-person meetings. So yeah, it's been great, but these live stream addresses, people still say they really appreciate hearing from their mayor each week, whether or not they're watching it live or watching it time delayed, now watching it on YouTube. But they really, give me a chance to give you some updates on what's been happening in the city, tell you some of the upcoming events, answer some of your questions and give you some words of encouragement. So thanks for allowing me to continue to represent you and work for Sunnyvale. If you want to join me in person at Being Seen on Murphy Avenue, you can first go to larryklein.com and see when I'll be there, what times I'll be there, and then email me to reserve a 15-minute or 30-minute time slot. It seems like all those get filled up relatively quickly, but you can email me at counsel@larryklein.com. But find all the details at larryklein.com. But let's go ahead and get started and talk about what happened at the federal, state, county, and city level over the last few weeks. Last Tuesday, I had my first Walk with the Mayor event. And, this is something that I'd wanted to start since 2020, but of course, COVID was there and meeting random people was not really encouraged. So, but last Tuesday, I met with a group of active seniors who've been doing a walk for change every week. And for me, it was great to meet them and hear about, they have events almost every day of the week in Sunnyvale and Mountain View and Cupertino. But on Tuesday mornings, they walk at Las Palmas Park. So if you would like to meet up with them and get to know them better, they meet at the dog park at 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings in Las Palmas Park. So great group. I'm sure they would always like more members. But yeah, it was good to finally do my Walk with the Mayor. And then last Tuesday evening, council met, and the biggest thing we did was consider approval of updates to our noise and air quality elements of our general plan. There are different elements in our general plan that need to be updated every 5 to 10 years. So it was time for updates to those. We added some policy changes to make it easier to advocate for decreased airplane noise, and it's not just San Jose, it's not just Moffett, but it's SFPUC, it's San Carlos Airport. It's a lot of different airports around the Bay Area that kind of overlap above Sunnyvale. So it's important that we have that flexibility to do appropriate advocacy. And we also added some updates to our to environmental justice to add that into our element. And pretty much it's looking at prioritizing the needs for low-income communities that are part of Sunnyvale, whether or not that's food availability, whether or not that's dealing with environmental issues, traffic. It's making sure that we have a fair and just Sunnyvale for everyone. And then last Friday night, there was an epic summer carnival at Washington Park. And so that was put on by our Sunnyvale Recreation Department. But, there was a story walk, there were carnival games. Those people that were part of the summer reading program got access to the Washington Park Swim Center. So lots of fun and games for the whole family. I went by for a little while and saw a lot of people that I knew and met some new families. So it was good from that standpoint. And then last weekend was a very busy weekend. Of course, for those Swifties, there were 2 Taylor Swift concerts at Levi's Stadium. And, one of the things that DPS did was provide mutual aid during all that, because Santa Clara was mainly focused on making sure that roads and safety around the stadium were done. So yeah, we provided some additional mutual aid during that. But I heard from lots of parents who were taking their daughters to the concert and heard that it was a fantastic concert from that standpoint. Of course, other than breaking some curfew noise rules, which they've been fined, and there's other things going on about that. But in general, everyone I heard that went to the concert had a great time. And then Saturday morning, I had another Walk with the Mayor event, this time around Lakewood Park. So I met multiple Lakewood residents at Lakewood Park, and it was great to see the park. But then we went further afield. We had great weather that morning, and it was actually Lakewood neighborhoods dumpster days. So it was good to walk around the community to different neighborhoods and different streets and see they had people dumping off their stuff. So they had, I think, like 20 different dumpster locations around Lakewood. or 20 different dumpsters. And it was good to meet some of the residents that were, doing the monitoring, or people dropping off items, meet families, some kids had set up a lemonade stand. So it was actually fantastic from that standpoint, to hear some of their issues, what they would like to see changed in Lakewood, hear some of their concerns about, the direction of what Lakewood's doing. But it was great to be out there. If you want me to come to your local park, just reach out, and I'll be slowly moving through different parks and around Sunnyvale, and hearing from the residents. And then Saturday midday, I was down in San Jose, and there were 2 of Caltrain's new electric trains, so part of their electric fleet, that they'll be rolling out next year. And there were thousands of people there to get that first view of the trains, to take tours. There were giveaways and food trucks and all that, but it was just great to be inside the trains. I'd visited them. I'd seen one train last, I think it was sometime in the fall. I think October or November of last year is when I saw the first train up in San Francisco. But it was much, it was great to be there with all the people that were just so overjoyed to see the trains. We've been hearing about the Caltrain electrification for so many years now, and we're now finally on the cusp of actually seeing it. The testing is starting on the train tracks. So there's limited service some nights between after 9 p.m. because the trains will be there from 9 p.m. to about 4 or 5 in the morning before the next day service starts right now, because they need to get a certain number of hours on each of the Caltrains. But it was great. It was great to see the trains, and how they'll transform service for everyone up and down the peninsula, and the trains will reduce emissions, they'll reduce noise. So, I've been a long time, champion and partner with Caltrain, passing Measure RR, and, just working for that electrification. I've been on the Caltrain Citizens Committee, Citizens Commission since I think early 2017. So yeah, almost as long as I've been on city council, I've been, working on Caltrain electrification. And then on Saturday afternoon, I attended the 2023 Youth Leadership Summit. And it was just really great to talk to the youth. And this is a fantastic group of young people, mainly from Sunnyvale, Cupertino, but have kind of spread out around the area as far as that's concerned. And they're focusing on new initiatives and what can be done from energy, transportation, and other things to combat global warming. So it was great to meet with them, talk about what Sunnyvale is doing, talking about other items that they would like to move forward. But they've been really great on focusing on advocacy for the last few years, and I just want to thank them for inviting me and talking about really important issues as far as that's concerned. And so then on Monday night, I was in San Jose, although it's really Cupertino, in my opinion. It's off of Bollinger, for a joint town hall between with State Senator Dave Cortese and Congressman Ro Khanna. And I've been big advocates and partners with them for years, but it was great to talk to some of the Sunnyvale residents that were there. I missed the Congressman Khanna's town hall when he was in Sunnyvale at the beginning of June. And so I thought it was good to try to make it to another one of his events, and just talk to him, hear some of the issues, and hear what people's concerns are. And it was good to have both, Senator Cortese to talk about the state, and then, Congressman Khanna to talk about what's happening at the federal level. So good from that standpoint to hear those issues. And then the following morning, I actually had a joint town hall with Congressman Khanna at Applied Materials. So it was good. Congressman Khanna was there to take a tour of the Applied Materials campus here in Sunnyvale. and talk about, the Epic Center and the $4 billion CHIPS Act investment and what's been happening at the federal level. But I was there to talk about what's happening at the city level and answer those questions. It's the CHIPS Act investment, but it was also other issues. There were, both local and national. It's talking about AI. So I was a computer science major and had, have a lot of opinions and understanding about what AI is and how it's being used, and looking at policies from what cities are being used and what's being done in corporate. And so it was good. It was good to talk a little bit about that and just answer people's questions about what's happening in the city. So what I always like to do. And then so that was Tuesday morning. Tuesday night was, of course, National Night Out. And so this was the 40th annual National Night Out. It's always the first Tuesday evening in August when there are block parties around the nation. And, Sunnyvale had, I think, around 16 or 17. But, I just want to thank all the Sunnyvale neighborhoods that hosted. It was good for people to come together to talk about, their issues, what they would like to see, or meet their neighbors for the first time, possibly since COVID or since they moved into that neighborhood, and inviting, council members, inviting the mayor to come by to talk about issues in the city, or talking about what they would like to start up from new programs. And then, having the public safety officers there, building that camaraderie between them. Having the canine officers, the motorcycle cops, the fire engines there, and the CERT team, the library staff. So it was really, really well attended and good time for everyone. I love seeing the young and old residents, gathering, meeting each other. For me, it's especially after COVID, people really appreciate that one-on-one, personal contact and finally meeting people for the first time. It really shows us that Sunnyvale is the happiest city in the nation. And for me, a lot of different neighborhoods were specifically asking for the mayor to come by. So, I went to 10 different block parties from about 4:30 to 9 p.m. But sorry for those neighborhoods that I wasn't able to make it to. I'll really try to be there next year if I don't see you sooner. But it was really great from that standpoint, and seeing, so many people out and people happy to see public safety, meet their neighbors, and talk to the mayor. So really, really a fantastic evening. And then on yesterday morning, there was a Fire Academy graduation celebration at the community center. And so there were, one of the things that Sunnyvale does is put on a Fire Academy, usually 3 academies every year. And so this was the second graduation for the year. There were 7 Sunnyvale cadets, 2 from Gilroy Fire Department and 4 from Santa Clara County Fire Department. And, it's really good to host that Fire Academy, and help build our DPS team. So, of the 7 new cadets, 5 of them were transfers from other departments. So like, I know at least 1 or 2 of them were from the county sheriff's department. But so they're transferring, and this is showing, the love of our residents for public safety, a well-run public safety department, as well as, just a unique model of you're not just a police officer, you're not just a fire officer, you can transfer between those disciplines during your career without a problem. So our unique public safety model attracts people, and they came from all over. I think there was one from Monterey, one from Santa Cruz, but also from the county. That the Sunnyvale Department of Public Safety is a great place to work, and Sunnyvale is a great place to live, and our residents really respect and appreciate our public safety department. So, it was good to see and talk to some of the families and hear from some of the officers that chose Sunnyvale as their new career home. So happy to meet that, and happy to kick off those events all the time. And then last night, there was a mosquito spraying by Santa Clara County Vector Control. And everybody should have, who was affected, myself included, should have received a card in the mail about County Vector. And so they discovered, mosquitoes with West Nile virus in areas of Sunnyvale and Santa Clara. And so the treatment is really to reduce the number of adult mosquitoes in that area so it's truck mounted equipment that kind of goes through different neighborhoods. They started around 10 p.m. and concluded, I think, around 2. But it was centered at South Wolf Road and Old San Francisco Road. But it went from, let me think, California Avenue and Arquez in the north, El Camino and Remington in the south, and then on the west side, it was Matilda, and on the east side, it was Lawrence Expressway. So those are the proximate areas. Hopefully, everybody in that area remember to close their windows, and ultimately that breaks down with the sunrise and all that. But it's important that we're trying to hopefully reduce the number of mosquitoes with West Nile virus. What you can do most is making sure that there's not standing water, places for mosquitoes to basically populate in your community. So please try to work on that. And, if you see that, whether or not it's what I've seen is like old flower pots that are just filled with water sometimes. And, it's making sure that there aren't those areas in the community as much as possible. As I said previously, I won't be covering COVID numbers anymore unless things change dramatically, but there has been a lot more, news and discussion on boosters in the fall, as well as multiple articles about the increase in COVID numbers, at least from, monitoring of waste systems. But for now, there are people still getting COVID, but, right now it's not a focus from a community standpoint. But I continue to do a lot of advocating on our city's behalf, at the county level, at the federal level, the state level, talking to all of our partners. But yeah, lots of discussions this week with Supervisor Lee's staff, Assemblymember Lowe's staff, and Congressman Khanna's staff. So trying to make sure that we solve problems that are, if they're outside of our control, if they're controlled by another agency, it's trying to make sure that they get involved, and then just trying to get Sunnyvale's fair share from tax dollars and other things to make sure that we can improve the life for our citizens. Last, let me announce some of the upcoming events. So still lots happening around the summer. You have the Wednesday and Saturday night music in downtown. As far as this weekend is concerned, there are visitors from Iska, Japan. It's our sister city. They're here for the 10th anniversary of our sister city relationship. But if you see them out, please introduce yourselves. Please, thank them for being our sister city. But yeah, you should see them around, around the city. They're going to museums and parks and, the farmers market tomorrow. So really should be great from that standpoint. But if you see them out, thank them for being, a member of that contingent that's coming to celebrate that 10-year anniversary. So they're coming here for that 10th-year anniversary, and then a group of Sunnyvale residents, and myself are included, are going to Japan in October. So great from that standpoint. Our Sunset movie series will be back later this month. So Movies in the Park will be back Fridays, starting at sunset, starting next week. And so the first movie is The Rise of Gru. It'll be at Ortega Park on next Friday, August 11th. The following week is Top Gun Maverick, which will be at Columbia Park on the 18th. And then Lightyear will be on the 25th at Washington Park. So yeah, definitely if you bring your family, bring your friends, sit out on the lawn, and it should be an enjoyable evening. You know, it's good, relatively good weather. It might be warm by that time, but of course, you know, in the afternoon, usually it cools down, so should be good. Tomorrow, Saturday, the 5th, there will be cannon fire. So not something that we normally have here, but there's a change of command for the 63rd Readiness Division tomorrow. And so there will be ceremonies midday from around, I think, 10:30 to 2 p.m., but you will be hearing cannons being fired off at Moffett Airfield. I'm assuming we'll hear them in Sunnyvale. It's been a few years since I heard them, but just wanted you to know about that. And then as far as upcoming council meetings, next Tuesday, August 8th, will be a very busy night. We'll be starting at 5:30 p.m. With a study session on the Village Center Master Plan. And then as part of our main meeting, we'll be considering converting the part-time bike lanes on Homestead Avenue or Homestead Road into full-time bike lanes. And then we'll be hearing a request from CityLine, our downtown developer, concerning Block 6. So that's the Macy's parking lot that's, you know, partially construction staging and partially parking lot right now. But they're requesting to add 200,000 square foot of office space and increase the maximum allowable building height from 75 to 85 feet. And so it's a request to start that study. So nothing is approved, but it's basically a request to council to say, can we go ahead and study that as part of the downtown specific plan? And then finally, we'll be authorizing the city manager to sign and look at the purchase and sale agreement and exclusive negotiating agreements between the city of Sunnyvale and Mid-Penn Housing for the purchase of 295 South Matilda Avenue. And so that's the old Wells Fargo site. If you know it, right north, basically just north of the old Denny's site. And so that's one of the things that I discovered on one of my morning runs, that Wells Fargo was up for sale. And I thought it would be a perfect place for housing, and took that to the city manager. And, you know, after some investigation and all that we talked to Mid-Penn to partner, and for the city to basically purchase the property and own the land from the long-term lease standpoint, and then Mid-Penn to looking at it, building affordable housing there. So, you know, I've worked with Mid-Penn for many years, and happy that staff chose them to continue that effort. I think that's it for upcoming events and upcoming meetings. Let's go ahead and get to our weekly questions. If you have a question, please just add it to the comments and I'll try to get to it. First up, Olwen asked, by any chance, would you be open to uploading these videos to YouTube as well? The player UI is much more user-friendly. You can easily rewind if you miss something and do 1.5 speed in parts where you have less relevant, on parts that are less relevant to you. Thank you for considering, really appreciate these updates. So thank you, Olwen. Yes, I had been updating, or I had been uploading them and kind of just got out of the habit, but I finally caught up last weekend. I uploaded, you know, months of videos, and that, you know, when I was uploading those videos, that's one of the things that I found out, that I had double numbered along the way. And so corrected that on when I was uploading, but you can find all those if you search for, you know, Larry Klein Mayor or Sunnyvale Mayor on YouTube, or you can just go to my website, larryklein.com, and I have a link that goes off to the YouTube videos. But it's actually really cool to see, because you have photos of all the different art that I've been highlighting in the background at the beginning of the meetings for, you know, the last 4 or 5 months or so. And so it actually it's a nice way to kind of remember the different art that's around the city, or some of my travels when I was at different conferences. Lewis commented, we need a summary page for all the art box designs, much like you did with the Great Sunnyvale Food and Restaurant Tour. So yes, I will be adding that. That's a great idea, Lewis. I'll be adding that to my website. Especially I've been meeting artists for years now and highlighting the different art around the city. And so that's something that'll be easy to add. And I think people really appreciate the art that's here, and finding some, just like finding undiscovered restaurants, finding some of the undiscovered art around the city. So yeah, I'll be doing more of that. Olwen asked, do dumpster days happen in Lowlander? So this is, so one of the things that you can do with specialty waste is working with your neighbors to set up a dumpster day. So Olwen, I did talk to one of the community organizers in Lowlanders, and we'll see if he can get enough people interested. But it's basically working with specialty waste to set up a dumpster so that people can just go out and dump, and specialty will monitor during the day and replace your dumpster if it fills up. And then you should have, on-site monitors to make sure that people aren't throwing away things that aren't supposed to go in the dumpster. And so, it's like cans of paint and other things. So making sure that toxic stuff, and depending upon what the dumpsters are, like in Lakewood last weekend, there was a mixture of dumpsters. Some allowed certain things, some allowed other things. So it's like some wouldn't allow you to dump a mattress, but another one would. So it was depending upon where that's going, what specialty is actually doing with that dumpster. Thalu and Raghu ask, when would it be the best time to come and see the demolition of the old City Hall? I love watching stuff like this. So yeah, usually it's 8 a.m. to noon and noon to 4 on weekdays are usually the best times. They've torn down the majority of the old City Hall, but there's tons of things that they need to cart away, and they're slowly moving on to the annex. But yeah, if you go to the new City Hall, if you go around the area, lots of things going on still. So as they first tear down everything, they cart everything away, they fill in the basement and the old basements, and then they ultimately start landscaping that to be open space. So looking forward to 6 acres of open space around City Hall, around the library. Dan asked, for Caltrain electrification, is there a third rail for these, or will they be put wires overhead? So all those are overhead wires. So you can see them if you go to the downtown station, the Caltrain stations. Now you can see the overhead wires. They're already working and electrified, so that they can start that testing of those stations. Eric asked, good afternoon, Mayor Klein. Last year you guided us by bike from Sunnyvale down to Day on the Bay. Will you be doing that again this year? So Day on the Bay, that's an event that the supervisor, Dave Cortese, started. Supervisor Lee is now continuing in El Viso. It's happening this year on Saturday, October 14th. Yes, I'm planning to be there. I talked to Supervisor Lee's office. They're still having some issues with San Jose Bike Party, which ran it last year, but I connected them with Sunnyvale, Bike Sunnyvale, and hopefully SPBC will be able to sponsor that. But it's been a lot of fun, and people that don't realize how close El Viso could be and how easy it could be to bike to, and how safe it can be. They really enjoyed that last year. So definitely planning to do it again this year. That was all of my questions. Let me see if any questions in the chat. George asked, since the NOVA offices are gone, where will those organizations be hosted now? So actually, George, the NOVA isn't gone. It's actually in the new City Hall. So on the ground floor of the new City Hall, NOVA Works, our job placement programs are currently being run in the new offices, and most importantly with great training facilities. I think that's one of the things that the old offices really didn't have. They didn't have the computer setups, they didn't have the meeting rooms that really made it useful. They came to the old City Hall and they kind of used some of their conference rooms in the City Hall chambers. Now NOVA actually has really workable location on the new City Hall, at the new City Hall location. So yeah, if you go in the main entryway and go to your left, that's all NOVA Works. So about a third of the first floor is completely dedicated to NOVA. And so, yeah, you can now find that there. No, and Kathy said Walk for Change meets at Cuesta Park at 9 a.m. at the large parking area on Friday morning. So I guess, yeah, it's Tuesdays at Las Palmas and Fridays at Cuesta Park in Mountain View. So thank you for that. I think it was a great group, and it's good to build that camaraderie between our seniors and any other residents who want to show up. Let me go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for joining me again this week. We live in interesting times. New issues come up, especially for the mayor, almost every day. But I want you to know that no matter what challenges we face them together. I'm proud of Sunnyvale and how we've responded to COVID and all the other things over the last few years. I'm thankful for people who help out, are generous and show their kindness to everyone in our community. Your actions and your attitude really do make a difference. Sunnyvale will emerge from this as a stronger community. We're in this together, and we will get through this together. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic weekend. Goodbye.